The loneliness was creeping in again as I sat on a white plastic chair with the other students outside at IJ Airport, staring at the big projector, the movie Living in Bondage playing on it. The sound oozing out of the speaker was loud, very loud, as it somehow still managed to drown out the noise coming from students chatting about. Some had organized themselves in little corners, laughing in groups, sipping drinks from bottles. The atmosphere was light, charged with youth and excitement, but I just sat there in an uncomfortable silence. This was my third year in the university, and I was yet to make any friends or form any sort of clique with classmates or roommates. Maybe it was the way I looked and dressed, my worn out clothes, my gaunt figure, and very big head that didn't seem to fit on the rest of my body. Everyone just seemed to have figured it all out, and I didn't. I had accepted the fact that I was lonely and nobody would ever see me. My father was late, died in the Nigerian Civil War, and my mother, she did all she could to see us through school. What that entailed, I didn't even want to think about it at this moment. Since my first year, all my mother could hand to me was 30 naira to last me the entire month. How I managed to cope with it wasn't really any of her business. So, the first thing I usually did was get a meal ticket worth 20 naira immediately to ensure I at least had food twice a day, running on a strict 011 from the school's refectory. A plate of food cost 50 kobo, with protein 1 naira. Of course, I could count the number of times I ever had a 1 naira meal. To be invisible is a disease. It feels like people could easily sniff you out, could somehow tell, and so they avoided you like a plague or treated you with utter disdain. That was how Gloria had treated me that evening before I decided to come sit here and watch this once in a lifetime movie organized by the Nigerian Federation of Catholic Students, NFCS. I knew she always had something against me. I could swear I'd seen her cover her nose whenever I came out of the bathroom, and my roommates would giggle with her, exchanging knowing looks. But then again, I tried not to pay attention, not to answer, to keep acting invisible until that evening. She couldn't keep it in anymore and came after me. "What is this yellow thing you keep rubbing on your body, Ifunanya, eh?" Gloria had started, arms akimbo, blocking my path as I tried to squeeze back into our tiny room. "Do you want to kill us in this room?" I was taken aback. I opened my mouth to speak, stunned. "It's a herbal cream mixed by my mother. It helps with..." "Herbal cream?" She scrunched up her face like she had just smelled something rotten. "No wonder. You smell like dead rats and ogiri half the time. Kai, no offense, but this one is spiritual." Laughter erupted behind her. One of the other girls, Nina, held her stomach and cackled. "Gloria, Biko, stop, I beg you," she said through her giggles. I clutched the container in my hand tighter. "I don't appreciate that," I said, quietly but firmly. "Oh!" Gloria tilted her head mockingly, raising her eyebrows. "You don't appreciate that, but you expect us to appreciate this constant odor that's now glued to this room. Please, these clothes of yours." She walked over to my locker and without warning, pulled it open. One by one, she started flinging my folded clothes to the floor. "These clothes are worn out and smelly, Ifunanya," she barked. "You walk around reeking and this room has developed a permanent odor because of you. I can't even bring any of my male visitors here anymore. What would they think?" "Stop pushing my clothes to the floor," I said, my voice trembling, lips quivering. But Gloria didn't stop. The other girls just watched, either entertained or silently thankful it wasn't them. "Why are you even in this school?" she muttered, tossing my last wrapper onto the cold floor. "You can't dress properly. You can't buy roll-on." And that was it. I didn't know what possessed me, but I pushed her violently. She lost her balance, her arm scratching sharply against a protruding nail in the wall. She let out a scream. "You this mad girl! You scratched me!" She came flying toward me and we began to fight. There was hair pulling, slaps. My wrapper came loose. I felt fingers dig into my skin, her nails catching my neck. "Enough! Enough!" someone shouted as two of the girls finally got between us. I was breathing heavily, my chest rising and falling like a drumbeat. My eyes stung, but I blinked quickly. I wasn't going to cry, not in front of them. So I left, head high, face stone cold. I came here instead, to this NFCS movie night, to pretend my mind wasn't boiling, to steady my breathing, to anchor myself. I stared at the large projector as Living in Bondage played. A struggling man gets an opportunity to have wealth. If only that could apply to my own life. I scoffed quietly. Dramas and their over-exaggeration. Just then, as I was deep in my thoughts, I felt someone sit on the white plastic chair next to me. The smell that followed, cocoa butter and mint, was clean, soft, not mocking, not harsh. I turned. It was a beautiful dark-skinned lady with wide eyes, her permed hair falling lightly to her forehead. Her earrings sparkled beneath the dim projector light. She turned to me, smiling gently. "Is this seat taken?" I shook my head quickly, adjusting my seat slightly away from her, fearing the closeness. Maybe she could sniff me. Maybe she'd regret sitting here. She didn't seem to notice my discomfort. Or maybe she did and just didn't care. All of a sudden, she was cracking her knuckles. "I've watched this movie already. It came out early this year." I turned slightly toward her, unsure what to say. I nodded, wondering why she was trying to make conversation with me. Nobody ever really did that with me. She leaned in a bit. "You seem very quiet." Her voice was calm, not mocking, not nosy, just curious. Still, I shifted slightly away from her, subtly trying to create some distance. But she adjusted her chair, moving even closer, like she didn't notice or didn't care. My knees began to tremble. Then, like something out of a slow, quiet twist, I felt her knee brush against mine. I froze. Had she done that on purpose? It didn't feel like an accident. It felt like she was steadying me. "I stay in Adelabu Hostel. What about you?" she asked, her voice low but clear, like she was genuinely interested. Her eyes, big and brown, were focused on me. Too focused. It was too close. Way too close. I turned slightly, feeling heat creep up my neck. Her eyes were still on me. I felt them studying my face, my features, my soul. I I stay in Lady Ibiam, I finally managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. I shifted my knees again, just so they wouldn't touch hers anymore. "Nice," she said, still smiling like she hadn't noticed my awkwardness. I stayed there in my first to third year, but I decided to change, especially now that they turned Adelabu into a female hostel. She paused like she was about to say something deeper. "You know, More women are becoming more and more enlightened and going to school. I really like that. No more traditional roles. No more. She looked at me and paused mid sentence, maybe realizing she was losing me. Then she laughed softly, brushing her hair from her forehead. My manners. My name is Victoria, and you? I stared at her for a second, unsure why someone like her would even be sitting here with someone like me. I swallowed and mumbled, Ifunanya. Her smile grew. Love. Ifunanya means love. I nodded, eyes dropping to the gravel beneath our feet. Then suddenly, I felt it, her hand on mine. It was soft, so soft, like silk had met warm air. My entire body tensed. Hands that had never touched a farm tool. Hands that had never fetched firewood or pounded yam. My Igbo name is Chinenye, she said, still holding my hand. But I don't really like the name. I prefer Victoria. More posh, more modern. I blinked, and to my surprise, a laugh escaped my throat. A real one. Why? I asked, still smiling. I prefer Chinenye to Victoria. Don't tell me you are abandoning your identity in favor of English names. She gasped theatrically, hand to her chest. Ewo Ifunanya, don't start. So you're one of those cultural warriors, eh? I chuckled again. That was the most I had really chatted with anyone since I came to the university. By the time the movie ended, we were still laughing quietly like old friends. We both helped gather the white plastic chairs and carried them towards the chapel together. As we lifted the last chair, she asked, Do you eat cornflakes? I looked at her confused. What? She laughed. Cornflakes. My mom sent me a whole carton. I don't even know how she thinks I'll eat all that. I could give you some if you want. I blinked again, unsure how to process this. She nudged my shoulder lightly. Don't look so surprised. I'm serious. I stared at her in bewilderment. A carton of cornflakes? For free? Just like that? We dropped the chairs and walked together toward her hostel. I followed her in silence, unsure of what to say, or whether I was even supposed to be there. When she opened her locker, my jaw almost dropped. Cabin biscuits, milk, cornflakes, big things stacked like Christmas things. You weren't kidding, I muttered. Why would I joke about food? She teased. She handed me a packet of cabin biscuits and a bag of cornflakes. I took them slowly, almost afraid they'd disappear from my hands. Afterward, she walked me back to my hostel. So, she said as we stood in front of the entrance to Lady Ibiam, it was nice meeting you. Yeah, same, I said, unsure how to say more. What department? She asked. Urban planning. You? Architecture, she replied, smiling again. She reached up and adjusted her hair slightly, tucking a loose strand behind her ear. The projector lights were long gone, but somehow she still shimmered. If you're studying architecture, then you must be a good artist, eh? I teased, surprising myself again. She laughed. Well, I guess you could say that. I was about to turn and leave when suddenly she grabbed my hand again. Her second time that evening. I didn't understand what I was feeling. My chest thudded. It echoed inside me like someone had flicked on a switch. Maybe it was because nobody had ever seen me before today. Not like this. See you around? She asked, squeezing my hand slightly. Sure, I said, smiling shyly. I'll come visit you tomorrow. She finally let go, and we waved each other good night. I walked into my hostel smiling, blushing, and talking to myself. For the first time in years, my heart felt something close to joy. Finally, the day didn't end so badly after all. I thought to myself. I made a new friend. But my happiness didn't last. That night, when I returned to my room, I heard laughter, Gloria and my other roommates giggling over something. And then I saw it. My mattress was no longer on my bunk. My locker was wide open, and none of my belongings were there. My throat tightened. I don't remember what I screamed. I don't remember what Gloria said. I don't remember how we found ourselves in front of the hostel porter that night. I don't remember much of the details. But I remember the porter looking me dead in the eye and saying calmly, "They are moving you to a different hostel. Your roommates have complained about something. Quite odd for a lady like you." I remember breaking down in tears. Tears I had sworn nobody would see me cry. I stared at Gloria through my tears and asked her, voice cracking, "Why? Is it my fault I came from a poor home? Is it my fault my father died in the war?" She just stood there. Maybe she was finally feeling my pain. Or maybe I was amusing her. The next day, I found myself at the Student Affairs office. After shuttling from one office to another, sweating under the Enugu sun, I was finally handed a sheet of paper. Room number, new hostel. My heart dropped when I saw the ink scrawled across the top. Room 206, Adelabu Hostel. What? That's Victoria's room. If you love this story and would love to see more of it, please do not forget to like this video, subscribe, share it with someone who would love it, and drop a comment for me. And please don't forget to check my playlist, my African playlist. You'll see some other interesting completed lesbian series to keep you occupied. Till next time, bye.